One question. That's all it took to end a 30-minute interview. September 2019, Los Angeles. A hotel suite overlooking the city. Clint Eastwood sits in a leather chair, his posture relaxed, but somehow still commanding. Across from him sits Marcus Webb, a 32-year-old journalist from a major entertainment magazine. Marcus has prepared for weeks. He has 27 questions written in his notebook, questions about Clint's latest film, about his career, about his process. Questions designed to get beneath the surface, to reveal something new about a man who has spent 60 years refusing to be revealed. This is the biggest interview of Marcus's career. Landing it took 6 months of persistence, 6 months of emails to publicists, phone calls to agents, carefully worded pitches. And now here he is, sitting 3 feet from a living legend. The interview begins at 2 p.m. sharp. Clint walks in exactly on time. No entourage, no assistants, just Clint and his publicist, who positions herself in the corner with her phone. She's here to observe, not interfere. Clint doesn't need protection. They shake hands. Clint's grip is firm but not aggressive. His eyes meet Marcus's for just a moment, long enough to assess, long enough to understand exactly who he's dealing with. Marcus places his recorder on the small table between them. "Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Eastwood." Clint nods, doesn't smile, doesn't make small talk, just waits for the first question. No wasted words, no unnecessary pleasantries. Time is valuable. He doesn't squander it. Marcus starts with safe questions, questions about Clint's latest film. Clint answers each one with careful precision. When Marcus asks about his directing process, Clint talks about preparation. You do the work before you get to set. You make your decisions ahead of time. Then, when you're filming, you just execute. No drama. No wasting time. When Marcus asks about working with actors, Clint says, "I hire good people, and I trust them. If you cast right, you don't need to do much. Just let them work." Marcus nods, scribbling notes. Good answers, professional answers, but nothing revelatory. Nothing that will make this interview stand out. He needs something more, something personal. 20 minutes in, Marcus shifts his approach. He asks about Clint's early career, about the years when nobody took him seriously. Clint's expression softens slightly. "I spent years being told I wasn't good enough. Wasn't the right look, wasn't the right type. Too tall, too quiet. I heard it all, and I just kept working, kept showing up, kept proving them wrong." Marcus leans forward. "What kept you going?" "Stubbornness, probably, and the belief that if I worked harder than everyone else, eventually I'd get my chance. You can't control talent, you can't control luck, but you can control effort." This is good. Marcus glances at his notebook, looking for the next question that will build on this momentum. Then his eyes land on a different question, one he wrote late last night. A question that felt bold when he wrote it, but now feels riskier, more personal. The publicist glances at her watch. 5 minutes left. This is Marcus's last chance. He makes a decision. "Mr. Eastwood, you're 89 years old. Does that scare you, knowing that you don't have as much time left as you used to?" The moment the words leave his mouth, Marcus knows he's made a mistake, not because the question is offensive, but because of the way Clint's expression changes, or rather doesn't change. His face remains perfectly calm, but something shifts in his eyes, a calculation, an assessment. The room goes quiet, not the comfortable silence of a pause, something heavier. The publicist looks up from her phone, suddenly alert. She knows the difference between a thoughtful pause and a problematic moment. This is the latter. Finally, after what feels like an eternity but is probably only 10 seconds, Clint leans back slightly. His hands rest on the arms of the chair. When he speaks, his voice is calm, almost gentle. "How old are you, Marcus?" 32. 32. Clint nods slowly. "When you were born, I had already been making films for 25 years. I directed 10 movies, played roles that became part of American culture, built a career, raised a family, and you were just being born. Marcus opens his mouth to respond, but nothing comes out. You're asking me if I'm scared of time, Clint continues. Of age? Of running out? But Marcus, I've never been scared of time. I've been too busy using it. Every decade I've been alive, people told me I was finished. In the 70s, they said Westerns were dead. I made The Outlaw, Josie Wales. In the 80s, they said I was too old to be an action star. I kept working. In the 90s, they said I couldn't direct serious films. I made Unforgiven and won the Oscar. In the 2000s, they said I should retire. I made $1 Million Baby, Mystic River, Letters from Iwo Jima. Marcus shifts uncomfortably. This isn't going how he planned. You asked if age scares me. Let me tell you what scares me. Wasted time, opportunity ignored, talent squandered, people who spend their whole lives waiting to live, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for permission. That scares me. Age doesn't. The publicist shifts uncomfortably in the corner. She can sense where this is going. When Clint decides a conversation is over, it's over. You know what I was doing at 32? I was still trying to prove myself, still fighting for respect, still learning. I was doing guest spots on TV shows, taking whatever work I could get. I didn't have time to worry about getting older. I was too busy trying to get better. Marcus tries to regain control. But surely now, at 89... At 89, I'm still doing the same thing, Clint interrupts, not rudely, just factually. Still learning, still working. I'm on set at 6 in the morning. I work 12-hour days. I don't complain about the heat or the cold or the long hours. I just do the work, because that's what this job requires. And age doesn't change that. If anything, it makes it more important, because I know I don't have forever, so I better make every project count. Marcus glances at his notebook, looking for a way to salvage this, but his mind is blank. Here's what you don't understand yet, Marcus, and you won't until you're older. Time isn't your enemy. Complacency is. Fear is. The belief that you're owed something just because you showed up. I've never believed that. I've earned everything I have by working harder than anyone else and never making excuses. The publicist stands up. I think we're running over. Clint raises one hand slightly. The publicist sits back down. You asked your question because you wanted a story. You wanted me to say something about mortality, something poignant about facing the end, something your readers could share, but I'm not going to give you that. You know why? Because I'm not facing the end. I'm facing tomorrow, and the day after that, and every day until I can't anymore. And when that day comes, I won't be scared. I'll be grateful that I used every single day I was given. Marcus feels his face flush. Clint has seen through him completely. But don't you ever think about... Marcus tries one more time. No. Clint's response is immediate. Final. I don't sit around thinking about what I can't control. I think about what I can. My work, my choices, my integrity. That's all any of us can control. The rest is just noise. The silence that follows is profound. Marcus realizes the interview is over, not because the time is up, because Clint Eastwood decided it was over. Clint stands slowly, deliberately. He extends his hand to Marcus. They shake. Thank you for your time, Mr. Eastwood, Marcus manages. Clint nods once. Then he walks toward the door. He stops, turns back. Marcus, one more thing. Yes, sir? Age isn't something that happens to you. It's something you do. You either age with purpose or you age with regret. I chose purpose. You still have time to make that choice. Don't waste it worrying about how much time you have left. Use it. Then he's gone. The door closes quietly behind him. Marcus stands in the empty suite, his recorder still running, capturing only silence. The publicist walks over. Well, that was something. Marcus nods, still processing. He doesn't usually do that, she says. Usually he just answers questions and leaves. Short, efficient. You got something different. I'm not sure it was a good different. He took the time to tell you something true. That's rare. Most celebrities just give you the rehearsed answer. Clint tells you what he thinks. And if you're not ready to hear it, that's not his problem. She leaves. Marcus sits back down, stares at his recorder. He rewinds to the moment where everything shifted, listens to Clint's response, then listens again. Each time he understands more. This wasn't Clint being defensive. This was Clint being honest, brutally honest, calling out the question for what it was, a cheap attempt at manufactured vulnerability. Marcus packs up slowly. His hands are shaking slightly, not from fear, from recognition. Clint saw something in him, some weakness, some fear about his own life that Marcus has been trying to ignore. He's 32. He should be further along, should have published more important pieces, should have made more of a name for himself. And here's Clint Eastwood at 89, still working harder than most people half his age, still creating, still pushing. 3 days later, Marcus submits his article. His editor reads it immediately. She calls 20 minutes later. This is incredible, but it's not what we assigned. This reads like a confession. I know, Marcus says, but it's what happened. Clint Eastwood didn't answer my questions the way I expected. He answered the question I didn't know I was asking, which was whether it's okay to be scared of getting older, whether successful people worry about the same things I do. And what was his answer? That those are the wrong questions. That time isn't the enemy. Fear and complacency are. That the only thing that matters is what you do with the time you have. Run it, exactly as you wrote it. The article publishes the following week under the headline, Clint Eastwood on Age. I'm not facing the end, I'm facing tomorrow. Within hours, it's the most read piece on the magazine's website. By the end of the week, it's been picked up by dozens of outlets, quoted in podcasts, discussed on morning shows. People respond to it, not because it contains shocking revelations, but because it captures something many people feel but rarely see articulated. The anxiety about aging, the fear of time running out. And Clint's response, his refusal to engage with those fears, his insistence on purpose over anxiety, resonates. Marcus receives hundreds of emails. One stands out. It's from a 64-year-old woman named Sarah. She writes, I've been retired for 2 years. Spent my whole career looking forward to retirement. But now I'm miserable. I feel useless. Reading about Clint Eastwood still working at 89 made me realize I retired too early. Not from work, but from purpose. I'm going back to something. I can't waste whatever time I have left. Marcus saves that email, prints it out, pins it above his desk, because that's what Clint's words did. They challenge the assumption that age equals decline, that getting older means doing less. 6 months later, Marcus receives a package. No return address. Inside is a photograph. Clint Eastwood on a film set, climbing a ladder to adjust a light. His sleeves are rolled up, sweat on his forehead. Around him, crew members 60 years younger are watching, because Clint doesn't need help. He needs to do it himself. On the back, someone has written, Still facing tomorrow. Marcus doesn't know who sent it, but he frames it, hangs it above his desk next to Sarah's email. Twin reminders. That age is just a number. That purpose is what matters. That the greatest insult isn't someone questioning your mortality. It's wasting the time you have. Years later, Marcus speaks at a journalism conference. Young reporters ask about his best interviews. He tells them about Clint Eastwood, about the question that ended the interview. I thought I was being clever, Marcus admits. I thought asking about age would give me an emotional moment. Instead, I got called out. Not meanly, just factually. Clint saw through me and told me the truth, that I was asking the wrong questions. A young woman raises her hand. What should you have asked, Marcus thinks. I should have asked what drives him, what keeps him working when he could retire, what makes him climb ladders at 89, questions about purpose instead of fear. Did you ever get to ask those questions? No. That was my only interview with him, but I didn't need to. He answered them anyway, just by being himself. Purpose, commitment, the refusal to accept limitations. That's what drives Clint Eastwood. That's who Clint Eastwood is, not the man who denies aging, the man who refuses to let age define him, who understands that time is the one resource you can never get back, who has spent 9 decades not fighting against time, but working with it. In that hotel suite, Marcus thought he was conducting an interview. He thought he was in control. Instead, it revealed his own vulnerability, his own fear of time passing, his own need for reassurance that even legends worry about the same things we do. But Clint doesn't worry. He works, he creates, he moves forward, and when someone asks if he's scared of running out of time, he simply states the truth. He's not running out of time. He's using it every single day. The interview ended because there was nothing left to say. Marcus asked the wrong question and got the right answer. Age doesn't scare Clint Eastwood. Wasted potential does. Missed opportunities do. Living without purpose does. But age? Age is just another day, another chance to work, another morning to wake up and decide that today matters. That's the legacy. Not just the films, not just the awards. The legacy is in the way Clint Eastwood lives, with intention, with purpose, with the understanding that time is precious not because it's limited, but because it's the only thing we truly have. Marcus learned that lesson in 32 minutes. It took Clint Eastwood 89 years to embody it. And he's still learning, still showing up every day with the same commitment he had at 32. Because now he knows what Marcus is still figuring out, that every day is a gift, that age is earned, not suffered, that the greatest freedom is knowing what you're still capable of. When Marcus looks back on his career, that interview stands out, not as his most famous, but as his most important, because it taught him something he didn't know he needed to learn, that the questions we ask reveal more about us than about the people we're interviewing, that sometimes the best stories come from moments when we lose control. Clint Eastwood gave Marcus that gift, not gently, not with kindness, just honestly. And that honesty changed Marcus, made him a better journalist, made him understand that respect isn't about asking comfortable questions. It's about being willing to hear uncomfortable answers. If you found something in this story worth remembering, consider staying. These quiet confrontations between ambition and wisdom, between youth and experience, between fear and purpose, they matter. Not because they're dramatic, because they're real. And sometimes the most important lessons come not from speeches, but from a single question that ends an interview and begins something else entirely.